Hello and welcome to the Erin Cruz Show. Tonight we have on with us Rudy Peters. He is a congressional candidate running in District California 15. Thank you for coming on the show tonight, Rudy. We are so glad to have you on. We can't wait to hear about your race for United States Congress.
Well, thank you very much, Erin. I want to personally thank you and your listeners for taking the time to give candidates like myself a voice. So I'm very blessed to be here with you today.
Well, you know, this is the thing, is the mainstream media hasn't been all too kind to California and to the United States and as a whole. They're not paying attention to the things that matter to the constituents, to the citizens. And so we want to make sure and get your voice out there, get your message out there. So now tell us about your race. You're running against a relatively new incumbent since 2012, right?
Yes, I'm running against Eric Swalwell. So, it's been an uphill battle. Like yourself, you ran for state or for senator, and I was glad to hear you're going to go again in 2022. So hopefully I can get involved and help you with that.
Absolutely.
But it's an uphill battle when challenging an incumbent, and I don't probably need to tell you this, especially when you're a Republican in California. And, most candidates are not funded by PACs or unions. Therefore, they rely on their personal savings, donation from supporters. My opponent, Representative Swalwell, has,
Millions.
over 2.1 million in his coffer. So, I like to not sound like I'm whining, but just kind of give you, just an example. So I run the 15th district, runs mainly Alameda County.
Right.
And if your listeners, that's Hayward, Livermore, Castro Valley, that area, and a little bit up into Contra Costa County as far up as San Ramon. But just the 250 word voter guide, a lone paragraph in Alameda County is $11,000. So the future of California, America, and our children's future, that's become my obsession.
Right.
And it really is a real grassroots campaign.
And that's so true what you're saying about, well, the incumbents and being at such a liberal state. They've got big money, big donors, and many of the people here, they're grassroots candidates, be it independent or Republican or no party preference. A lot of grassroots finance coming in, and then, like you said, using your savings. But we're just, aside from the finance, we're just glad that you're willing to do the hard work. Because really, that's what it comes down to. It's you're putting your life on the line. Look at the polarization of the country and what have you. There's a lot of risk involved running for office these days. You're willing to set those things aside and say, this is worth it. The future of our children and our country, it's worth it. And that's what matters. And that's part of the reason why I think people really need to get involved in your campaign. And I really wanted to have you on the show because I want you to share your message. What is your platform? What are you running on?
Well, I'm running on common sense legislation. But, just to kind of go off what you said earlier, a lot of people ask me, well, why are you running? Why do you care? Why do you want to get involved, especially with a country that's so divided? I cannot stand by in good conscience and watch the destruction of our state and, more importantly, our country. I served in the Navy for almost 10 years, and I want to serve again. And I do not have that higher political aspirations. I want to represent this district. We have a good opportunity right now at this election, especially with Prop 6, which yes on 6 to repeal that unfair gas tax mandated on all citizens of California. But we have a good opportunity now to take back some of these local, state, and county offices. I'm not sure about the district you ran in, but what I ran in, the whole state.
Yes.
And when you look at assembly, we've got 80 assembly members and 55 Democrats and only 25 Republicans. In the House alone of Congress, there's 14 of 53 Republicans. So what really upset me, and I'm not sure your voter turnout, but in the primary, 18% of the 62,000 Republicans showed up to vote. So I was very disappointed with that. And the next biggest party, as you know, is a no party preference, which is also the second leading party in California. 28% showed up there. And out of the Democrats in Alameda County, largest party, 165,000, there was over 48% that showed up. So my message is simple. I cannot win on Republican vote alone. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think all Democrats, and I know all Democrats in my district, don't support the path that the Democratic Party is going down. So I need those Democrats and I need those independents to take a chance on me and vote for me. So,
Right, right. And, you know, this is the thing. I believe that, you know, what I'm hearing from you is true in many cases. You're running on common sense politics, and I mean, common sense ideas. And I don't see why level-headed people, doesn't matter if they're no party preference, independents, libertarians, can't stand by somebody who is fed up with the progressive, loony left doing whatever it is that they want to do, policies that just don't make sense, and running our country into the ground. Why wouldn't they support you? You love America. They love America. It's that simple.
Yeah, and you know, what has to happen here is I see even Republicans from our own party, you know, going after. I don't think all, you know, the Democrats have sold a plan right now.
Right.
You know, it's attacking Trump, it's open borders, it's gun bans for law-abiding citizens, it's abolishing ICE, it's higher taxes, more regulation on businesses. I mean, it goes on and on. And I meet a lot of Democrats in this district that does not support that. There's Democrats that support the Second Amendment. I mean, what the Democratic plan and what I need to do is to get them over the, you know, that first hurdle to look at me as a candidate. And
Right.
again, the incumbent, you know, Eric Swalwell has bigger aspirations to be president. He spends zero time here. And really, I ask people, name a legislative accomplishment of Eric Swalwell. And people
Right.
just pause for a minute, and there is none. So, you know, I've got my plan for the district I can go over. I've got my plan for the nation. But, you know, the Democratic Party has clearly demonstrated their lack of leadership and their failed policies to help Americans. And it's time for a better way forward.
Right, for all constituents of yours. You
exactly.
know, somebody who listens. I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. But the way I see it is people, doesn't matter what that letter is behind your name, come to me with good ideas. Ideas that make sense, that will help benefit America, and we'll figure out a way to work together to get the business done. And of course, principled leadership, and you probably don't agree with everything Democrat agrees with. You know, are you pro-life?
I am.
So there might be things like that where you may not agree, but Reagan had it right, 80-20. We may not agree on everything, but we have to get
California California has its own abortion law.
Right.
So regardless of, you know, whether, you know, a lot of people are talking that, you know, will Roe versus Wade be overturned? Even if it was to be overturned at the Supreme Court level, California still has its own abortion law.
Right.
So, I mean, it's really kind of, you know, I am pro-life. I'm a Christian. I was born Southern Baptist and kind of grew up in that church. But I want to represent everyone. I mean, we need to turn around and do what's right for Americans in this district. And we're all suffering here. And I don't think the incumbent, if you look at his, you know, I used to think that, you know, older people used to say, well, you know, we've got a lot more experience. But when you actually look, experience means something. And I've suffered in this county. I've suffered in my city in 2-hour commutes, and now we're paying $4 a gallon almost for gas. They agreed on Regional Measure 3 to raise the bridge toll. But again, where's the results? Right. There's no results. We're being taxed and regulated out of here. I mean, they show that over, you know, the top 1% earners in California pay 47% of the state income tax. And now the high earners, I think it's Prop 55, it's that 13% tax added to them. And then you look at business tax. There's $6 billion new business tax. No wonder businesses are leaving. So we've got to change that. And again, I've got to appeal to the Democrats. And I ask them, please look at my incumbent's voting record. Ask yourself if he's voting for you and your family, or is he voting the party line? I mean, and it's clear to me.
Is it politics or is it the people? Is it for the politics or the people? Right now we have too many politicians that are serving themselves and the large interests and not the people. So what I'm hearing from you is you want to serve the people. It's brilliant.
I do. I mean, exactly. My priorities just for my district is, you know, we need to make our schools a hard target. I still have a daughter in middle school, so this touches me every time I hear about a school shooting. But you're not going to stop someone's intent on committing harm.
Right.
Over 56% of these school mass shootings have been by people that's had mental illness or showed signs of it. I want to put an active uniformed police officer in every school. I don't want to put a teacher. I don't want an armed teacher. I want an active police officer from that department that can respond to that school. And we need to make our schools just like going to the Oakland Raiders game or the 49ers game. We need a closed campus where we can control the entrance and exits. You know, I want to see increased federal funding for mental health programs and facilities. We've got the highest homeless population in the nation. We're ranked 50th in quality of life. Let's bring back our mental health facilities. My son's a police officer. I talked to him. 9 out of 10 of his calls are responded to mental health issues where homeless people have gotten, you know, maybe intoxicated or other problems and creating an issue, and they can't really go back to active policing in their community. So we need mental health funding. I'm for that.
Right.
I want to bring some of the businesses out of Silicon Valley. I asked myself for 30 years living here, why can't Apple, why can't Facebook, these companies expand right here? We've got plenty of land to help the quality of life, to reduce the commute and the time spent in a car. And,
right.
I come out of an industry where the theft of intellectual property is critical. I want to stop that. I want to put more pressure on, it's not just China, there's other countries out there stealing our intellectual property.
There are a lot.
And not to keep running on, but, one of the big things about Republicans is they don't care about the environment. One of my main keys is to stop and look for a replacement of conventional plastics. There's biodegradable, environmentally safe alternatives to plastic.
So now,
I support something like that 100%.
So now, what, for example, there's a lot of argument about who's led the environmental perspective in terms of Democrat or Republican. And actually, the Republicans have been key in reducing regulations and giving incentives for good environmental policy. So what way will you go about encouraging corporations and big interests to revise the way they do things? The Democrats want to regulate, tax, penalize. But what's your plan to be able to see positive movement and incentives for corporations?
Well,
for the plastics
I don't want
and environment and what
exactly. We have 2 national labs right here in my backyard. Perfect candidates to do R&D. There's already companies that exist that have biodegradable alternatives to plastic. But, kind of on really, deregulation, and I'm talking smart deregulation with tariffs. We're on target right now in 2018 to be oil king of the entire world. In the 70s and 80s, who would have thought that with our dependency on foreign oil? I hear these 25% on steel tariffs and 15% on aluminum, and the market and some of the market experts or on the media, it's going to be terrible. We're never going to make it. We're going to hurt business. Look, give Americans a chance. Not everybody wants to work in high tech. Not everybody wants to drive for Uber. Let's deregulate where it makes where it's smart. I'm not just talking back to polluting the environment and dumping PCBs and waste down the ground. Let's be smart about it, but let's bring back manufacturing. I think people would like to live in their community, go to whether they're manufacturing lawnmowers, toasters, come home, make a decent wage, take their kids to practices and cheerleading practice, and take a vacation every year. We've got to get back to that. And I think President Trump is doing a great job at actually bringing work back here to Americans. And it helps a lot.
So you support our president?
I do.
Wonderful.
We've got Social Security. We've got to ensure the solvency and sustainability of that. One easy way to do that, if you've owned a business, I run now I had to shut it down, but is build your base. Bigger base, more people paying taxes, pays for a lot of our health care, pays a lot for our Social Security. We need infrastructure here. Here's one thing shocking. When President Trump came into office, he asked all the governors to submit a infrastructure plan. And it's 50 items on what their infrastructure wish list would be for their state. When you look on the one Governor Brown submitted, there's not one single project in my district, not one. So where's our representation? Nothing. We've got, I don't know, people talk the Bay Area. We've got a tremendous amount of people that commute out of the Central Valley, and they're all going to one place normally, Silicon Valley. So we need to bring those jobs back up here. High tech, to me, does not need to expand in Silicon Valley. I think it's more or less I'll use the phrase, it's sexy for a big company to be in Silicon Valley. There's no reason those companies can't expand right here in this district.
Right, right. Branding. That's the way I look at it. Silicon Valley.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? California is a wonderful place to be for businesses if government would just get out of the way and let businesses operate. Now, where do you stand in terms of immigration? Because with the federal position, you know, it's people want to know where you stand. Where do you stand on that issue?
We talk a lot about immigration. I know President Trump tried to link the border security with DACA or granting, a pathway to citizenship for X amount of children, illegal immigrants that are here or here with their parents. Sorry, I've got my dog over
That's
here
okay.
barking.
Our listeners love dogs. They won't mind at all.
But to me, we must secure the border. Right now, we're worried about it, and I kind of use my analogy of a boat. We've got a boat that's the plug is out, and we're talking about how big of a dip or how fast we're going to bail. We've got to plug the leak first. We've got to build the wall, or at least a border protection system that you're never going to stop everyone, but that's something that's grounds bigger than what we have now.
Right.
So then I look at this right here. Since October, between a 6-month period of October, I think 2017 to April 18, there was over 211,000 Border Patrol apprehensive. 95% of the warrants issued for murder in LA are illegal immigrants. The most wanted.
A lot of money,
yeah.
A lot of manpower, a lot goes into that.
Yeah. So here's what I want to secure the wall before we do anything. Build the wall. Let's build the wall and secure the wall. Next, if you look at our prison systems, we have over 200,000 illegals in our penal systems. In California, it's $71,000 a year to house a prisoner. We've got enough Americans we need to put in jail. Mm-hmm. What I propose after we have border security is we take these individuals from our prison systems, we take them to their country of origin, we go to their government, and we say, here's all the court documents, transcripts, this is their sentencing documentation and data. We're releasing this person back into your care. If you turn them loose, that's up to you. But if we catch them back in our country, we're going to apply even tougher sanctions on you.
Right. Yeah, the root issue needs fixed. I agree. The root issue.
If you look at the visa program, there's over 500,000 people here on expired visas, whether it's student visa, work visa, whatever the case is. Here's people that we have allowed to enter our country, whether to go to school or tourist visa or work visa. Their visa expired and they failed to renew it. Maybe some are legit and they need to be renewed. But I say we give that group 9 or 10 months to renew their visa or they need to leave the country. We need to stop illegal immigration. Now,
right.
I don't like to go, everybody says, well, what are we going to do about the 12 or 13, 14 million left here? Look, I'm not willing to give anybody citizenship, but I do think there is a tremendous amount of, and I hate of illegal immigrants that's been here for years. It's raised families. It's went to church and it's got an education. And do I want us going door to door ripping them out of schools and homes? Absolutely not. But what we need to do is come up with a system that maybe grants them a work permit. Let's get them paying taxes. Let's get them paying state tax and federal tax, not necessarily put them into Social Security until they become a citizen. Allow them to get in line in line for citizenship, but they have to be working and they have to be paying taxes and they can't have any serious criminal record.
Well, because here is the thing, people don't like to talk about. The Democrats want to just bring up immigration, then they bring up the small talking points, and if you don't agree with them, everything's out the window. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't mention, is many of these individuals that you're talking about have had the opportunity to file for status. They have. They've had an opportunity. And they haven't, out of fear, whatever it might be, they haven't done so. And that has to stop. We are a country of laws, a nation of laws. And so I stand with you in that sentiment that we have to have solutions. And that's what I'm hearing from you. There are a lot of problems, and we have to have solutions. And it sounds like you have, a strong view on what will work. Now, we're getting close to the end of the interview. What I would like to do is make sure that people have your name, what district you're running for, what your platform is real quickly, and also where people can get involved, where they can time, talent, treasure. If they've got any of the three, you need it. So go ahead and share.
Yeah, well,
share with us.
Yeah, again, real quick. I mean, I've not been a politician. I was on the Human Service Commission before.
Right.
I'm just someone that couldn't lay every night and knowing that I could make do better and serve this country again. So the website is Rudy Peters for Congress, all one word, .com. You can go there, and there's links to my Twitter, there's links to my Facebook campaign, Facebook page, and Instagram. I mean, I don't need to tell you, Erin. Again, it's about money. I think a lot of us, like myself, we work hard every day. We go to school every year. I wanted to do better when I would research my candidates. But at the end of the day, by the time I got back from taking a kid to practice or getting home, and next day is election day, I show up with my voter guide. And if in doubt, I vote for the party. And then when I'm going through there and I read something about better schools, I say, hey, my kids are in school. That can't be. I'll give a little tax. And here's where we forget. Every 2 years, we're given and voting for additional taxes for roads and schools, and they're no better. I mean, we're ranked 47th in schools.
It seems.
They're worse. And we've got to stop that. We've got to demand accountability from our lawmakers. And again, RudyPetersForCongress.com. I could use the donation support as much as possible. Again, and not to come across whining, I'm funding 90% of this campaign out of my savings. I had to shut down my business because I own a service-disabled veteran-owned company that bids on government contracts. So I really didn't want a conflict of interest. So I've totally shut down my company to make this run for Congress. So I know you're interviewing other candidates. I totally support your program, and I think it's great you're allowing us to get our word out there. And we can't wait to see you run again, and hopefully we can get behind you this time a little bit better.
Yes.
And get you into office as a representative. So
thank you.
Thank you everybody for listening, and thank you for having me.
Well, Rudy, thank you again for being on the show. And real quick, Rudy has a guy that's in office, and I want to say this, big money, millions of dollars, and up through the primary, he spent a fortune, okay? Rudy needs your help. Rudy needs everybody listening to set aside a latte or 2 or 3 or 4, do what you can, or volunteer, okay, everybody? And spread the good word. Let people know, if you know them in his district, that he's running for office and that he needs their help too. Thank you again, Rudy Peters, for being on the show, and maybe we'll touch back with you right before the election time to hear how you're doing and what more we can do to help. God bless you.
Hey, thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right.